Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one I'm going to be taking a look at Blastoise EX, which in my opinion, key phrase there, my opinion, is the best new EX and certainly the best new deck from the set Pokemon card 151. But first of all, I'm going to go over some characteristics of Blastoise and why I think it's the best new EX deck. So Blastoise EX has 330 HP and the ability Solid Shell, which says this Pokemon takes 30 less damage from attacks. So basically at that point, it's already tankier than Wigglytuff. Now, Wigglytuff also does need a special energy to activate its ability. Admittedly, Wigglytuff maybe has a better attack, maybe is a stage 1, but it's also a Colors type. So there's a lot of pros and cons to which is better in terms of being a tanky Pokemon. But in all honesty, I just think Blastoise is a bit better overall, as it has access to some water support cards like Irida. So very tanky Pokemon. It also has the very efficient attack Twin Cannons that for 2 water energy says discard up to 2 basic water energy cards from your hand. This attack does 140 damage for each card discarded in this way. So what's really cool about this attack is that most attackers in the TCG right now basically have to expend a lot of resources and damage to do one massive attack. Think about like Giratina V-Star doing 280 with Lost Impact, whereas Blastoise can effectively choose to do 140 or 280. So what you can do is you can just discard 1 energy to KO stuff like Cramorant, or expend 2 energy to do 280 and KO a V-Star. And of course against EX decks, you don't have to do 280 back to back, you could just do 140. And then your opponent might think, oh, well, maybe they don't have 2 energy in their hand for next turn. And then you can turn around, discard 2 energy and do the 280 and finish them off. So very versatile and powerful attacker. Now, you could pair Blastoise EX with stuff like Palkia V-Star, which I am trying out in a separate list. But in all honesty, I don't think Palkia V-Star is actually the best partner for Blastoise. I still think Palkia is better off with just Chien-Pao and Baxcalibur. But for this list, I just wanted to play it with Gardevoir, and there was a list from Japan that I was really happy with. So that's why I ended up settling on this Gardevoir. So basically what this Gardevoir does is allow us to draw some cards, as well as accelerating basic energy from the top of our deck. Now, because we are so efficient and we're only attacking for 2 energy, we shouldn't have to rely on this ability to accelerate energy. But it's just a nice plus have, it's a nice plus to have at the end of the day. And it's also going to allow us to draw more cards. We also have the Gallade as well, which is going to allow us to search our deck for supporter cards and put it into our hand, which is just a really solid ability, because it means that we can consistently find any supporters that we might want from our deck, such as, Boss's Orders, or Irida, or even Raihan, if we need to play Raihan in order to get a Blastoise going in one turn if we've missed a manual attachment. So pretty strong Pokemon overall in the form of Gallade. We also have to run stuff like the Manaphy with the ability Wave Veil just to prevent damage done to our bench Pokemon, because Radiant Greninja is still really popular. Speaking of Radiant Greninja, we do run 1 copy ourselves because it just makes so much sense with Irida, as well as discarding water energy, we might as well play it. We do also have 1 copy of Mew, which I'm tempted to remove from this list in exchange for something like a pivot maybe, such as Cleffa. But Mew has been super useful in finding items, and in a deck where Irida can get Rare Candy or Energy Retrieval, but obviously not 2 items at once, then Mew can be a very solid option in order to get stuff like Rare Candy. So it's nice at times to combo with Irida so we can actually get set up more frequently. The only downside, though, of course, is that it's not going to be pivoted around a lot, because it does have to be, moved out of the active spot when you're done with it. And because this list isn't playing Beach Court, that's not like the easiest thing to do all the time. I'm only playing 1 Escape Rope, 1 Switch anyways. So yeah, not a huge fan of Mew's inclusion in this list, but I could see it being removed, to be honest. So yeah, Mew's not like overly essential. Then we see 3 copies of Squirtle and 1 copy of Wartortle. You may be wondering why I'm not playing the Squirtle from 151, and the answer is simply credits. I don't want to spend any more credits than I have to. TCG Live is notoriously difficult for giving you new credits. I'm working my way back up the credit grind, though. I'm slowly getting there. I'm at 6k credits now, but it's going to take me a little while before, I get more credits so I can afford better card artworks and stuff. So that's why I'm stuck on these Squirtles, but still 70 HP, it's still a nice addition. Then playing 3 Ralts, so that's something else I probably should have mentioned. I'm only playing 3 Squirtle, 3 Blastoise, 1 Wartortle. if you thin down on these evolution lines, it can still be pretty decent because it allows you to just have more rooms for trainers. And in all honesty, in this particular deck, I'd much rather have more stuff like Superior Energy Retrieval as opposed to, like a 4th Squirtle. It does seem a little bit sketchy, but you also have 4 Battle VIP Pass as well to help in the early game, so shouldn't be too bad overall. But Kirlia is basically going to be our main draw engine in this deck. You could look at Bibarel, but in all honesty, Bibarel kind of requires Squirvet, and then that's a lot of bench space at that point. Could be worth looking into though, especially if you're going the Palkia V-Star route. But at the same time, I'm kind of torn on Bibarel because I feel like this deck just wants to discard more cards in their hand than most other decks. And if you end up discarding too many energy with Refinement, that's fine because we can always recover energy with stuff like Superior Energy Retrieval. So it's not like the worst thing in the world either. So I definitely kind of like Kirlia in this deck. It's definitely not the worst option there is. But that's about it for Pokemon. As for the trainers, there's nothing terribly wild here, like for Irida to find a water Pokemon and an item, which is mainly going to allow us to do Blastoise turn 2, which is of course very efficient. We do play 3 Rare Candy for that reason, because we are playing 1 Wartortle as well. So we can use Irida to find the Wartortle, but it also just means that we can basically just run less Rare Candy and less Pokemon, and therefore run more trainers, which is helpful. So that allows this stage 2 deck to remain relatively consistent while also allowing us to play a lot of interesting options, such as the Iono, of course, and Energy Search, as well as stuff like Artazon, which honestly, Artazon is a stadium that I might cut from this list in favor of Beach Court. The only reason I don't like Beach Court really in my decks is it helps Lawson out quite a bit, and Lawson is of course everywhere on the ladder right now, so that's going to be a bit of a problem for you. But of course, Artazon could definitely help set up Lawson as well, so maybe it doesn't matter, but yeah, something worth bearing in mind. And then as for energy, just 10 copies of Water Energy, which doesn't seem like a lot, but you do have Superior Energy Retrieval and Basic Energy Retrieval if you really want to, I guess, and Energy Search as well, actually, to find energy. So it's pretty easy to find them as well. But overall, what do I think of Blastoise? Like, why do I think this is the best new deck? Well, basically, I just think it's the best new deck because of the choices we have. Like, if you look at 151 as a set overall, like, the choices just aren't great. Now, I understand why a lot of people have faith in Wigglytuff and Arbok, but, like, the thing is with Wigglytuff and Arbok is consistency, right? Like, Wigglytuff does have some problems. I've seen some people pair it up with the single price Wigglytuff, which is cool. But even then, that's 2 different stage 1s evolving from the same basic. It can get a bit awkward sometimes. Arbok EX, likewise, needs 3 Dark Energy to attack, which is very expensive. You can use Dark Patch. There's obviously like Galarian Moltres and Energy Switch. There's even like the new Galarian Moltres, well, not the new Galarian Moltres, but like the Galarian Moltres V with Energy Switch, you can do that. You can also do like Darkrai V-Star to make it more efficient. And I have seen lists from Japan doing that, which is cool. But in all honesty, I just don't think those decks are very consistent compared to Blastoise. And Blastoise has seen a lot of play over in Japan, which is cool. And I do think Blastoise has solid potential with Twin Cannons. It's definitely been an MVP in most matchups because 280 is a lot of damage. And hopefully, if I'm able to record some good games, then you'll be able to see this guy in action because Twin Cannons is a very efficient attack and this ability is also very solid. But this is coming to the end of part 1. I'm not sure if this will be its own independent deck profile. But as you can probably tell, I'm under the weather, so I'm not feeling too well at all. But we'll have to see how gameplay goes. I did face a lot of Lawson yesterday, which sucked, and I don't want to face any more if I can avoid it. But we'll have to see how gameplay goes. But this is the end of part 1. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see more deck profiles from 151 in the future. But yeah, thank you for watching. So I'm not actually sure what my opponent is playing here. It could be some sort of Darkrai V-Star deck, judging by the fact that they have a Darkrai, but hopefully they can't find a way to modify their damage or get a Galarian Moltres turn 1 and KO us, because that could be a serious problem. But yeah, this hand it's okay. I would have much preferred like the Squirtle, for example, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Okay, so they're playing like a... Oh, okay, I see what they're doing. So This is like Darkrai puts me to sleep, and then they use Jinx to want to kill my Pokemon. Alright, okay, so it's like a Jinx deck. It's interesting, at least. I'm honestly just so sick of seeing Lost Box at this point, so anything different, I'm down to see. Unfortunately, if you like record games against decks that aren't super competitive, people will probably complain because they're like, no, I want to see gameplay versus competitive decks. But in all honesty, I'm just so sick of playing against the same 3 or 4 decks, just kind of driving me a bit mad. But yeah, we'll have to see how this goes. I'm not sure if Jinx can actually put me to sleep in one turn, but we'll see. So we have Irida, which is good. So we're off to a start here. I think we can afford to play this a bit more slow. So what I'm going to do is we can get Blastoise, and I think I'm just going to get Level Ball for Ralts and then go from there. Because next turn, what I'm going to be able to do anyway is, even though we don't have an energy to attack, which is super unfortunate, and we have both of our copies of Gardevoir actually in the opening hand, which is absolutely terrible. What I am able to do, however, is Level Ball for Ralts, and so next turn we'll be able to go Ralts Kirlia, and then hopefully beyond there we should be able to get properly set up and into the game. So we'll get Ralts, and then we can just manually attach an energy, and hopefully not brick from there. And I don't think my opponent will be off to like the quickest start ever, unless they have some ridiculous hijinks in their hand, like Giovanni's Charisma or something. And yeah, I can't do any damage with Twin Cannons, so it's just going to be an end turn. Yeah, super interesting to see Jinx, because I didn't really see that many people talk about Jinx like before it got released. There was some talk about how you could use it with Hypno, but Hypno is like a one-time use sort of effect, so it's not like the most reliable way of doing things. But yeah, super unfortunate with that we didn't get any more ways of drawing Pokemon, or finding Pokemon, I should say. So we're going to get the 2 energy. So we are faced with another problem as well, is that if they actually do the 120 plus the asleep, and we don't wake up, then they can KO us the following turn, which is a huge problem, because that will of course just negate the fact that we were ever doing damage in the first place. So I'll use Level Ball, and I'll just look for a... I guess we get Mew here actually, but I just want another Squirtle, to be honest, in case we have to, worry about getting one-hit killed here. Because we can one-hit kill Jinx, which is really good, but as it stands, we're not killing anything, so that's a bit of a problem. Also, if, like, Darkrai gets stuck in the active for a little bit longer, then that's not the worst thing either. But we do need to try and find some more stuff with this Kirlia. Okay, so that's not terrible, actually. To get 1 energy, could take a prize card. Do I want to take a prize card, or do I want to just wait? I mean, we'll be drawing a lot more cards next turn, actually, so I think I'm okay to just do this. Yeah, so we'll Twin Cannons, we'll knock out a Darkrai, take a prize. Oh my god. TCG Live, you need to do these things for me. I can only discard up to 1 energy, so of course I have to pick that one. But yeah, knock out Darkrai, we get a prize card from this, which isn't a terrible position to be in. It does mean that our prize trait sequencing will be a bit awkward, because we'll have to KO Jinx and Sneasler, and then presumably boss KO or Greninja or something to win the game, which isn't the worst thing in the world actually, but we probably also want to use Refinement, and then we'll evolve to Gardevoir, so I have to remember to do that in that order, otherwise we miss out on a draw 2. So they just benched something else. What is that? Okay, it's a Sableye. So they're basically just playing a lot of ways to modify special conditions. They also have a really big hand. I'm not sure what supporters they've been playing, so I've not been paying attention that much. Okay, it's Rhyme, Arvin. I suppose they haven't played any shuffle draw, so they're just getting bigger. 250 HP won't matter to them actually, because as long as we wake up from this, we better wake up. Because if we don't wake up, actually, that's huge. We do need to wake up from this. Thank you. Okay, so that's good. That is good. So we will survive, and we will be able to want to kill them. My opponent just conceded. Man, I actually hate recording gameplay. What is wrong with people? They could have perfectly made a comeback from that matchup. All they had to do was put my Blastoise to sleep and then smack me with the Sneasler and set up another Jinx. That would not have been that hard to do. I don't understand it. Do people just really hate TCG Live to the point where if they think they're in a losing position, they just concede because they don't want to play any more of the game? Or is it just because people want to concede? Because this has happened multiple times to me today already. So I'm trying to record games and then people just concede. It's like, I want to record games at this point. I don't even care if I lose anymore. I just want longer games. Like, this is... Guys, I'll see you all in the next one, okay? Thank you for watching. Speed and Power. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.